energy we use could harness the solar power, the wind and the water matter. Hydro production of fruit and veg for consumption, increasing no fish zones to a third of the oceans. Sustainable living is giving back what we're taking, replacing the trees, let the seeds reawaken. It's time to give back what human hands have impacted. I believe we can make it. This is how we save the planet.
I just see the show doing really well. Yeah, it's got such good potential, but you just need the people to actually view it. That's the trouble with YouTube, isn't it? Trying to get the views.
Well, it's definitely not. I'm definitely not the only fish in the sea, but I think it's about you got to believe in yourself, and you have to just keep trying. I was watching an interview yesterday. I think it was with Seth Green. He was talking about how many times he actually had to audition and pitch before he got his first actual paid job, and it was like 86 times. And I know I've pitched the show to a few people, like network people. I actually got a chance to talk to what is her name? She's the executive producer of the Bad Batch. I think it's Yvette Portillo, and I spoke to her originally I was introduced to her on Instagram, but I ended up talking to her on LinkedIn, and actually really helpful. She watched some of the show. She had some cool pointers to give out. And then she even helped. She was like, you know what? I think you would work well with the people from Stupid Buddy Studios, which is the production team that makes Robot Chicken. They did the animation opening for the Chef show on Netflix. They're doing the MODOK show right now. And I would love to work with them. And she literally brought my show pitch over to Seth Green and Matt Sennheiser or Senreich, I think, from Stupid Buddy. And I like that. That's awesome. You know, it didn't result in anything at this point because I think the idea still isn't really fully fleshed out. And although we can see potential in it, I would like to see some of that potential actually executed so that someone else can see what the potential that you and I see, you know? And then once that's created, I have the ability to show this to more people. And hopefully someone sees that and says, you know, we need to put some money behind this to make it even bigger and better. Because the plans are there. I just need to make it happen, man. I don't want to film the show in my basement anymore. I want to film it on a sound stage with puppets that are fully licensed and voice actors that are professional. And I want to do it the right way. You know, that's the thing that bugs me the most is like, I'll never do it right if it's just me. Yeah.
Yeah, but you could always use that. You know, it's just a one-man band basically. I do it all. You know, can you imagine if you had, you know, the tools like help the results? You just need 3 to 4 people to help, and then it'll be a lot easier.
Yeah, not only that, but I wish that I could just dedicate my time to it. I wish I could focus on that as opposed to it being the third of many tasks that end up having to be done. Drop my phone. I just wish I could focus on it as opposed to, like, you know, every Monday through Friday, for example, I get up and I still have a job that I have to do and I have to work and punch in and out of. If I was able to spend that time working on video and working on the show, it would be a much different product, even if it was just me working on it.
Exactly.
But it's not like you can just quit your day job and you know, make this puppet hip hop show when you've got a family and a household to provide for.
Have you done a music video with your puppets, like just puppets on their own, like a sort of hip hop song?
Yeah, I've got to figure out a good way to incorporate them into a song. But I think I have for season 2. I started a new song. The song's called "Don't Forget to Smile," and it's really satirical because the lyrics, in a lot of ways, if you try to take it literally, they will make absolutely no sense to you. But the goal was for me to see how we can attach, you know, visual references to these lyrics using flashcards in this scenario where it seems like me and the puppets are all just getting hammered drunk. So like imagine a round table and myself and the puppets playing cards, like maybe a drinking game, for example. And I'm just like losing horribly at this game, just getting more and more drunk by the time the music video is done. But every time the camera shifts to one other person, they hold up a flashcard, which is a representation of what the lyrics are being said in the song. So in some way I get to speak to this. I get to come up with these nonsensical lyrics, but I can tie them to visuals that could either be jarring or comical. And I think in a lot of ways, once you see what I have planned, there'll be a lot of that. Whereas some of it would be like, maybe I didn't suspect that lyric was going to attach to this thing, or I feel like the more I try to explain it, the harder it is for me to capture. But
I'm already picturing something.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much of it away, but I'm really anxious to actually film this scene so badly. It's going to be one of the most fun episodes in the show, and I'm just really excited to do it. I just need to figure out how to fucking do it.
Is that what you really want to do? Sort of product video, sort of hosting.
I've worked for other people for long enough. I want to produce my own concepts, and I could make videos for Hitrecord, whether they're chosen or whether I get paid for them or not. I can work on other people's projects, but I would really like to continue to develop the things that I have already put in play, and that's my biggest goal. And I know it sounds selfish. In my head, it doesn't really feel like it's that selfish. It's like, here's this thing that I've worked on that I just want to see it through to the end. It's like I have unfinished business. Do you know what that feels like?
Yeah, exactly. You've always got unfinished business, I reckon, in whatever you do. It's always something that you want to do further. Yeah, and there'll be something else, and there'll be something else. And that's a good thing. It's not just that's it. I've done it now. It's over. That's how I look at it. When I that's why I'm doing podcasts now. It's just something different I've always wanted to do. Just talk to people. Find out what they're doing. I find it interesting and entertaining. So this is exactly what I do. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm new. I'm very new to this, but I always wanted to do something like this. So
well, you've been very consistent, and I've always liked the people that you have on the show. You talk to a lot of geeks and a lot of fun musical people. So I appreciate the variety.
Thank you. Thank you. I suppose I should talk about one of your projects. It was on Hitrecord. Tell us about Create Together to everyone that doesn't know.
Yes. So Create Together is a collaborative project amongst, I don't know how many contributors got involved for this one. But it was basically we're taking the message of this young lady named Mitzi and her experiences with climate change and how it's impacting the Philippines and her movement to improve society on a whole. This was a topic for me that I just wasn't super familiar with, because I'm kind of in a bubble. I shelter myself in some ways. Like I don't really watch the news. I don't watch television or listen to the radio very much. So in some ways pretty ignorant. And especially like where I live in Virginia, there isn't much of we don't really get hurricanes much. We don't get tornadoes. We don't get earthquakes. We got an earthquake once. It was several years ago, and it lasted like 30 seconds tops. And it was super weak. It was one of those things where like it was so weak that I thought it was like a plane passing really low over the building. And I was like, no, that can't be the case. So, anyway, so it wasn't just I had to research it to kind of learn more about climate change and how everything is happening in the world today. My goal at that time was to try to write a song about that. I don't even know how I found the collaboration, to be honest.
No?
I don't remember. So I found it, and I decided I'm rambling now. I decided to contribute some lyrics. And the way I tend to work through ideas when it comes to something like this, where it's I'll just write as much as I possibly can and get every idea that I possibly can think of, and I'll contribute that. And hopefully they'll see that, because I know ultimately I only want like half a verse of it. So if I give you 60 bars and you end up picking 8 of those, at least those 60 bars will give me some sort of guidance as to what they want to hear, right? Like some of the feedback will say, hey, I really like the way that you went, the way you were talking about positive changes, like ways that we can make changes to the environment. You weren't just rapping about how the world is doomed, right? So then okay, read over these lyrics again. Which of them pertain to, the things that we can do to make change, and how many of them are like the world is doomed? I'm like, okay, well, that cross those off, because they're like, oh, the world's fucked. Like
the more you look at it, the more depressed you're. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, and it's like, okay,
we are
well,
fucked. We're completely fucked.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's sometimes where I read that, where I look at the state of things, and I absolutely feel that way, because we got here by being the humans that we are. Expecting everyone to change overnight is absolutely impossible. It's a gradual change, and people have to be educated not only to what the problem is, but then how to solve it. And then it's a matter of, you have to take those steps. You can, like, if you were to tell me that, like, hey, the world is going to die, it's going to explode in 60 days. And I'm like, oh, well, that sucks. What do we need to do? Well, you need to stop eating animals. You need to stop using gasoline and these things. So we're like, oh, well, I don't know if we can do that in 60 days. Like we're just, it's not something that we could ever just be like, okay, I'm going to hit that off switch. So that's why sometimes I look at it and say, it feels like the world is fucked. Mm-hmm. But knowing that there are things that we can do to improve life on a whole, and how we can slowly and gradually stop what we are, the path that we're on, I think it is positive. So how do you write a song about that? So I just wrote as much as I could. And as I started to understand what was being asked for, I started to reshape those lyrics into something shorter. And I don't know if you recall or are following the project, but the instrumental started as one thing. It morphed into a different thing. And then that thing got slowed down. So really it was like, there were at least 3 different ways that I had to approach this. As my lyrics changed, the instrumental started to change. When those changes started happening, spontaneous ideas start coming out, and I recorded some sort of hook about better worlds in sight, and I am down for the change because we need this today for the sake of all life. That was something that I wrote kind of as a lead-in to my verse, and unknowingly, I wrote the hook for the song, which I thought was pretty cool, because I've never actually heard that many people singing lyrics that I wrote. And when I step back and I listen to it, it's like it feels like something that I wrote, because of the way that I rhyme, and the way that I put pauses. Like there's that, for the sake of all ... life.
Well, you made it your own, didn't you? It's like when someone writes a joke for a comedian. It's how you present it, really. It's not just a joke, is it?
Well, I didn't present it as a hook. It is my own because I wrote it. And like the way that I that I tend to write, like if you look at hip hop in the 80s or the 70s, the rhyme schemes were very basic. What's a good example? So I'm trying to think of a good verse to quote as far as like the lyrics, but it'd be like something 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 bat, something 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 cat, and so the only words that really rhymed were the last 2 words at the end of every line. In my head, it seems kind of basic. There's ways that you can take syllables and rhyme them, like so. In the case of, go ahead.
No, go on.
You're,
Yeah.
well, in the case of I am down for the change because we need this today for the sake of all life. The syllable that I'm trying to rhyme is the syllable A. So you'll hear that I am down for the change because we need this today for the sake of all life. So you'll hear that 4 times. You'll hear the syllable A, and that's how I feel like I string my words together very often. Even if that last line, that last word is a different rhyming word, that syllable A kind of helps tie everything together, and it makes it seem like you're either A, rapping faster, or B, saying more than you really are, when it's just one consonant. So yeah, so that's why, like, when I listen to it, it sounds like me because that's the way that I write. And to hear a bunch of people singing something that I wrote just was kind of cool. Well, it was very cool, actually.
Well, it's actually a really good music video, and I did try and sing in it, but I just didn't. Yeah, that's what you do. I didn't care. I just sung, and if they chose it, they chose it. But you gotta do it. That's what I think you should do. Just sing something, and if it gets in, it gets in. If people like it, then good. If they don't, who cares?
Well, so funny you should mention that. Like, I did write a song where I wrote a song as though I were singing it, and I wrote a song about my family. It's like about married life. And season 2's most of the songs are kind of dad centric songs. So I think that being a satirical song about trying to woo your wife is a fun one that I'm looking forward to singing, because it's kind of a silly song.
You should use your Muppets to it.
I think they're gonna find their way into most of their music videos, if not all of them. I can't remember how I wrote that one, because like when I sat down to write season 2, it becomes apparent that you're not just writing what people are saying to one another. I also had to write, where is the scenery going to be? I had to plan out how many cameras might be necessary, what location I'll have to be at, where am I going to set up lights? Do I have a location available for this? And I had to write out music videos as well as writing the scenes, because most of the scenes are contained in this basement. So trying to find a creative angle for, how am I going to make this basement look like a different place when there's like, it's like an L shape, right? So I have to keep finding ways to make this look interesting and from different point of views, even though it's the same place throughout the entire show. So I made a point also to try to get out of the basement as much as I could in season 2. So there's scenes that are outside of the house. I wrote a whole music video about zombies, because there's a song called Something About Zombies.
That's cool.
And that I needed to find a rural farmhouse for the like nearly 50 or 60 zombie extras to attack. Like I have, it's crazy that when I think of that, I thought I was going to pull that off with just myself. I was like, in my head, like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a barbecue. I'm going to invite everybody I know. I'm going to tell them free food and beer. That will definitely get people here.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to have some makeup artists just throw some zombie makeup on them, because they'll be eating barbecue anyway. They'll already look like savages. So just throw some like baby powder in their face and tell them attack that house.
Just give them 8 tequila shots. There you go.
Yeah. 8 tequila shots for all of them. Free tequila, free barbecue. Must come dressed as zombie. And I wrote this entire zombie attack scene music video out, and really proud of it after it's all done. And just like, there's tie-ins, like, so I think that's the 3rd music video of the season. And the 2nd music video is the one that I was telling you about, Don't Forget to Smile, with the puppets and I in the drinking game circle. One of the premises about Don't Forget to Smile is an experiment in subliminal messaging. Like, can we plant subliminal messages in a song that people will actually respond to? And so the reason why the zombies end up attacking the house is because the subliminal messaging in the song work too well, and it kind of like triggers the zombie apocalypse. So
I want to see these now. You got to work on them.
yeah, I can send you the scripts if you want to read them. If you want the spoilers.
I'll try and act them out. I'll do one of the puppets or something. I don't know.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
I cannot do voices. I have tried.
Well, I wanted to so one of the voice actors that I talked to is a person named Tasia Valenza, and she does the voice of Poison Ivy in the Batman games. She's done a couple of voices for some of the Star Wars cartoons. She did Sniper Wolf in Metal Gear, one of my favorite games of all time. And she's actually a really great coach as far as like helping you to, like, as she calls it, give great voice, and just using your voice to reach people and touch people more. You know, in the society that we have now, a lot of people are sending emojis and more disconnected than ever. So I always really liked her, because when I would send her a message, like a text message, she would always respond. She like recorded her voice. She would like literally speak to me. And so I started doing the same thing to her, because it just felt like, you know, as she said, we're better connected now when we're speaking to each other. But I'm going to put together a voice acting like demo reel, because I wanted to see if I can actually hang with her. And she's like, you got to put together like 9 different samples. And she shows me her sizzle reel of all these really impressive characters that she's done over the years. And I'm like, I got to do this, but I still don't know how I'm going to match that, because like instead, like she's just showing me clips of the things she's already done. Like for me, I would literally have to write, or maybe either if I don't write it, or maybe I just like find some scenes from movies and just try to just rip those off or something like that. I don't know. But I definitely want to try, because it seems like fun to do voice acting. And it's like, maybe you're not coming out with 9 different personalities or different voices, but just 9 different ways to just use your voice, whether it's expressing a different emotion or just maybe say the same line 9 different ways. If you can find 9 original different ways to say it, I don't know, but it's still be fun to try.
Can you do impressions?
Probably not great ones. Can you do impressions?
Not really. I want to hear some of yours. What's your favorite impression that you can do, an actor?
I don't think I've got an impression that will really impress you, but when I listen to you, I try my best to mimic you, and I think after a while I might actually get close to it.
You've got the English part right, that's for sure.
But
I don't really have an accent. Do I really have an accent? To you, I probably do, but
well, I suppose everyone does, doesn't they?
I suppose I do. My camera do not like that for some reason. It hates
phony British accents.
It hates phony British accents.
You know what the thing is I know that without a dialogue coach, any fake accent that I try to pull off is going to be a mix of the actors that I see on TV. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's not just one specific dialect, and I don't even know where that person is from. But they sound kind of cool how he said that, so I'll try to say it that way. But another person says something cool that I think, oh, that sounds like a British accent, but they might be from different areas, so like it's all fake.
Hello, I'm from London. How are you?
Yeah, I'm from London.
How are you doing? Can you do a
fish and chips, mate?
Can you do something from Liverpool, so like the Beatles?
No, I can't. I've tried, but again, it's like
I don't know what you mean.
Eventually slip from one to the other, you know, because I don't have constant reinforcement of a specific regional accent. I have just like a jumble of different British people and whatever influence that I took from them.
Can you do different American accents styles?
I probably can.
Can you do a Southern?
Well, there is quite a few different Southern dialects that are out there. So this is the first one that came to mind, but it's not actually. I don't even know if I could say, well, this is from Texas or from North Carolina or this is from Louisiana. You know, it's just some crazy Southern accent.
Why don't you just put them all together? You know, that's what I say. Just put them. I sound like Elvis.
You sound like Foghorn. So I don't even know what
I say, boy.
You sound like Foghorn.
Pay attention to me.
I say. Pay attention
to me, boy.
Charlie Armour of the Southern Armies.
What do you call that name? Poeticon. That's no name. That's no man's name. Dave, or I don't know, what would be a Southern name?
Don't really know what that would be, actually. Tell you that.
See, your accent, I'd have to really try to, you know.
My actual accent is, I think I try to make it like non-regional, but I was raised by New Yorkers, so that probably is an influence.
Hey, New York, shut up, you smuck.
Now, if you go to New York, there are 5 boroughs. My parents are from the Bronx, and I was raised in Long Island. Each of the boroughs sounds a little bit different. Like somebody from Queens doesn't sound like somebody from Brooklyn or from the Bronx or from Long Island. You know, it's all really, or Manhattan. It's all really strange how they're different.
But when people do it here or some other place, there's always some sort of mafia sort of connection. So,
yeah, I think people are expecting all the New Yorkers to sound like this, and it's not really the truth, you know.
Hey, me and Tony, you know, we just sound like this. Yeah, get off my back. Stop busting my balls.
Yeah, stop freaking busting my balls. Yeah. I think it's because they seen too many gangster movies, you know, too many mafia movies. But the truth is that, you know, when I was growing up, the stereotype was that we said Long Island all the time.
Long Island.
Yeah. The longest of all the islands that there is.
It's like New Jersey. Is that what it is?
I don't know what the difference is.
There's sort of slight New Jersey sort of thing there.
I think, but see, that's the stereotypical New York accent, is the Italian influenced Eastern accent, you know. If you watch the movie In the Heights, that's more of what my family sounded like.
Talking of music, what advice would you give someone who's starting their musical path? So it could be hip hop or, you know, just getting into the game. What would you give them? What advice?
So I don't really feel like I'm qualified to give advice on business. If I were, I would be a much more successful Poeticon. If I were to give advice on the craft of songwriting or music in general, keep it simple. You know, a lot of times I think less is more. And we can very often overcomplicate things by second guessing ourselves. So just start writing, write as much as you can. And then when you're out of ideas or you feel like that moment is gone, take a step back, read through it, and decide what you like and what you don't like. And don't rush through it. You know, like take some time to let it settle. Sometimes a week or 2 weeks, you come back to it, you read it like, what the hell was that I wrote? And other times you're like, dude, that actually needs some more attention, right? So don't think that you have to finish an idea the first time you start it, because, you know, like any good work of art, it's always evolving, and you have the ability to make those changes. So don't be so critical on yourself. And then as far as when it comes to the recording and the performance of it, get comfortable. You know, I find that I perform better when I'm comfortable. And the more comfortable you get, the more confident you get, and you can be more comfortable in larger areas. So if you're shy at first, you don't like performing in front of people, or even if you find it uncomfortable to record in front of a sound engineer or something like that, find a way to record by yourself in private to work out the things that you like, to perform the sour notes and the really shitty notes that you don't want people to hear, so that you can practice to get to the good notes that people do want to hear. And just have fun with it. I know there's going to be times where you don't get what you want and it's going to be disappointing, but if you love it, you just won't ever want to quit. So you're just going to have to buck up and suffer through the rejection and just keep on having fun with the things that you do love, because eventually somebody's going to say yes, and that's going to feel amazing. So
exactly, this is true.
Well,
so if someone got really bad criticism on their music or of anything they're doing, what advice would you tell them?
Take criticism with a grain of salt. Sometimes it's constructive and it's meant to help you improve. And I think in your gut, you'll know when those situations are. And sometimes people just say mean shit, man. And when you really feel like it was just something that's meant to hurt you or just not valid at all, just know when to shake it off or get a second opinion. Because maybe that first opinion sounded like it was being a jerk, but really the song sucked and you need somebody else to tell you that.
Excellent.
Let's be real. We're not always going to put out gold, right?
No.
Sometimes you're going to write something.
I've had so many. I've had really bad reviews on my music. So
yeah, so sometimes it's not going to be good, but that's okay as well. It's like I like to cook and I like to experiment with food, and a lot of times sometimes the food will come out great. Other times it's just like, no, that was not delicious, or it was not for me. But that doesn't mean you should stop cooking.
Yeah.
If it's something that you enjoy or something that you feel like you can't live without doing, you're just going to do it regardless. So you have to find a way to get through the criticism or the feedback that you don't agree with.
Excellent. That's a very good answer, by the way. I'm going to take that advice, because I seem to sometimes I'll take criticism too well. I think we all get it though, don't we? We're like, no, I work really hard. Yeah.
And you probably are a pretty harsh critic of yourself as well.
Yeah, I do think I'm just shit sometimes. Shit, can't do it.
It might be true sometimes, but like we're not always.
Yeah, it is. It's like I am shit, but I could do better. Yeah, I know I could do better.
Is it really just a matter of it's shit or it's not good? It's just a matter of what meets your standards, right? Like, there's music that I hear on the radio that would never pass my standards, that I think is absolute garbage, and yet thousands upon thousands of people love it. It's not, no idea is shit. It's just a matter of who actually likes it and who doesn't.
Yeah, it's just your personal taste. You don't like it, and other people do.
Yeah.
Maybe it's half the time they're just following what other people are listening to, rather than what they actually like. Yeah,
I think it's just about finding your people. Like that's one of the things that I struggled with when it comes to marketing, because you have to figure out, like, I'm going to create this ad. Who do you want to see this ad, right? And you're thinking, okay, well, I like this song's about hip hop, right? It's a hip hop song, so let me tag that. But the demographic of people that love hip hop is wide and far reaching. Amongst the community of people that like hip hop, how many of them really are going to be open to seeing puppets in a music video? And then it's like suddenly it gets a lot smaller. And like, out of those people who like to see puppets in their music video, how many of them live in the United States? And they're gonna get smaller. Should I talk to the demographic of men and female? And so it's really about finding the people who you think are going to most likely jive with what you have. And so, that once that grows, they start to influence other people. Like you said, some people are just doing it because they hear it, because other people are doing it, right? They're just following what other people like. Exactly. So if we can make that group of people that like our stuff larger, that group of people can influence others. And suddenly the idea starts to spread all on its own without the need of marketing dollars, because you've touched a part of society that now can just continue to roll this ball down the hill without your help.
Exactly. Do you use Facebook to promote anything? Because sometimes I think, is it worth it? I don't know.
I did.
I don't blame people on Facebook either. They don't look at it because they could be
I
just.
tried through Instagram
It's just
and through Facebook to market,
maybe they just don't
and
like
I
it.
experimented with that. And what I'd find is I'd get, like on Instagram, for example, I would have thousands of people that would view this thing, but the amount of people that put a heart on it or the amount of people that shared it were still relatively small, you know, and perhaps it's just my failure to understand, or maybe like one thing that's important, I think that is important for goal setting is if I'm going to create this ad, right, what do I want to achieve from that ad? How many people would I like for it to reach, or for it to share, or to like this thing, for me to define that as being successful, right? And once I have that target, then it's a matter of which levers do I pull to hit that target. And there's a lot of trial and error in that costs money. Unless you just say, you know what, I'm not going to waste money experimenting. I'm just going to go to a marketing agency and they're going to make these decisions for me. And I think that's the smartest way, but it's also the most costly way, right? You know, right from the start.
Like I said, you got big production YouTube channels, and they don't always come out great, do they? It's kind of lazy on certain channels. Yeah, because they've got it all. It's not. I don't know. They just seem a bit.
Well, some of them are. It's just it's a well executed idea, even if it's simple.
They just know they know their audience now, so it's like they're okay. It's okay to do 1 or 2 episodes that aren't that good. But I feel like when you haven't got a lot of people, just say you put a lot of effort into what you're doing.
Well, my idea is a lot more complicated than what most are, because I realize I go to YouTube for tutorials. Like I wanted to learn how to brew beer, for example. So I would look at a bunch of videos of people brewing and the mistakes they made and the things that they liked, that they were doing well, so that when I tried for the first time, I was more successful. And I thought, well, if I'm going to do this YouTube series, it can't just be me putting out music videos, because everybody does that. And I know that I go for tutorials, so maybe I can use whatever knowledge that I have to share as I'm making music. People can see the mistakes that I make, and they can treat it the same way that I treat YouTube.
Yeah.
And there's an audience for that. But I didn't want to be like, all right, I'm going to teach you how to make music, right? So here's a camera of me and my pad, and I'm writing. Or here's a video of me in the music booth. Like I wanted to try to have some production value that made it entertaining. I kept wanting to make this like the Bill Nye the Science Guy of hip hop, you know, or the Good Eats, you know, with Alton Brown, you know, where they teach you how to do something in a way that's both engaging and easier to understand. Because songwriting, it can be simple in some ways, but there's a lot of science that goes into it, like how to keep your audience's attention. Mm-hmm. When do you speed up? When do you slow down? When do you emphasize something? Where do you pause? Where do you breathe? You know, how do you have meter in this? There's a lot of things that people don't consider. They're just like, oh, I'm going to write a rap song, you know, and there's processes that they can put into place. So how do I teach people of that without getting boring? And at the same time, I'd like to keep learning. You know, I want to learn from others who are doing things better than me. So how do I get guests on this show that can teach us all, you know, how that people respect and want to see? And I wrote this whole like dream list of artists that I wanted to have as like guests on the show, different voice actors, different bands, cameos and stuff like that. And I know when I wrote it, I was like, well, I'm never going to get them. They're not going to like, can't afford that. They don't even know I exist. And I was like, well, this is just a dream list, so write it anyway, you know? But shit, man, one day it'll be real.
I always think, know someone that's doing better than you. Yeah. Because I knew someone that was in the Paralympics and they were really super fit, could push themselves all the way wherever, you know, up hills and stuff. And I was struggling, but you know, at first I was like, I don't want to know this person being better than me. Yeah. But it's sort of, you learn from them, don't you?
We have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
When I was younger, I used to do martial arts, and you don't want to spar with a person who's worse than you, because you just end up beating them up, right? You need someone to challenge you.
Like, you play video games on the hardest mode, don't you? Really? That's the only way you're going to get better. So any sports game, you play it on the hardest setting.
From the start, every video game, you play on the hardest setting. You're going to be really frustrated at first, but you're going to get through that better than anybody else would.
Don't be a wussy.
Don't be a bitch.
Yeah, don't be a bitch.
And we can't say today. Like, I feel like it's misogynistic to say don't be a bitch or don't be a pussy, because it's disrespectful to women. Because women are strong, and so are their pussies.
So,
yeah,
but it's true. Or don't be bollocks, because they're weak. Yeah.
Bollocks are pretty weak, actually.
Yeah,
you don't even have to.
If you kick them, that's it. Over.
You don't even have to kick them. You could just graze them. My son is constantly punching me in the bollocks all the time. It's not even funny. Like, he'll just kind of just miss it, and I'm like, I feel like he almost hit me in the like that delayed reaction of, like, he almost got me in the, oh yeah, he did, and then you just fall over.
I know.
All the time.
But if you had female parts, it wouldn't happen. I don't know.
That's true.
It wouldn't happen as badly. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure females have a different set of things to worry about other than getting punched in the bollocks.
Yeah, they do have a lot of other things, which we'd be a complete wimp about. We would be like, oh shit, I can't handle this shit. Cut.
Yes. Let's digress from that one.
Yes.
What else? So yeah, the stock markets ebbing and flowing, dipping and diving.
Yeah, Microsoft are doing pretty well, especially with
I don't know anything about stock.
Especially with the vaccines, with those microchips putting in.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Waiting for the robot uprising when all of our nanomachines take over.
Well, I've had 2 of my shots now.
Oh yeah, I got both mine as well.
I am fully nanobot.
Do you feel as though you are somehow either more attuned to electricity? You set off radio waves more commonly, perhaps develop super strength in your arms or legs?
I feel like my hair is stronger.
Okay, that's a start.
Yeah, and my teeth are a little whiter. Because
that is also very good.
Yeah, so apart from that, nothing. They don't do shit. They're just like me. They're not doing shit.
Well, at least you're not getting
motivation, nanobots. Come on.
Yeah.
We're in it for life here. We have to, help each other here. At least let me stand. Come on.
Well, I do have to cut this short. It's probably about time that
it's quite long. Yeah.
I don't know how long we talked for, but I gotta make lunch for the boys and make sure that my wife isn't taking care of them all by herself.
Yeah, she's probably getting angry now, isn't she?
No, she's doing great. I didn't hear much of a fuss upstairs.
But nothing, no stamping like that.
No, well, I heard it a little bit earlier. My son Miles, he's the oldest. He runs around a lot. And we have hardwood floors, so you just hear the boom, 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 boom every step.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
which is difficult when I'm recording music, by the way, because even the tent, it doesn't block that out.
Oh shit, that's really hard, isn't it?
I mean, could be better, but you just got to pick the right times, which is after he goes to sleep.
When does he sleep?
Usually, so it depends on how much activity he's got, but somewhere between 7:30 and 8 usually when he goes to bed, and then afterwards I got a little bit of time to record if I'm not exhausted.
Very good.
Yeah, because they get up early. They get up really early.
What time?
Miles sleeps through the night now, but Theo wakes up a couple of times a night now, so he'll be up around 10 o'clock and around 3 o'clock most nights, and then again at 7.
Have you tried tequila?
Not yet. My wife would tequila me. With a bad joke, but
that's a good joke. I like it.
Wouldn't work, But
What?
it has been a blast. Charlie, not Chaz, who I don't
Charlie and not Drew, because you don't like Drew as your name.
I've never heard Drew as my name because I'm not Andrew.
Math Drew.
I said Hugh, Hew.
Oh,
Matthew.
Hugh. Oh,
Hugh,
yeah. Cut. I'm doing that again. Hugh.
Yeah, don't call me Hugh, Chazzy.
It's because Andrew is my co-host, so he'd be called Drew.
Right.
So that's
and
why.
He's a Drew and I'm a Hugh.
Okay, Hugh.
Right.
One day you'll meet Drew, the Canadian, must I say?
Drew the Canuck.
Yeah, and he might rate your accent, maybe. I don't know.
My Canadian accent? I don't have one. All I could say is oot and a boot.
What's that oot a beat?
Oot a boot.
They're the calmest people, aren't they?
I believe so. I'm quite calm. But marijuana is legal in Canada, so
that's why.
That's one of the reasons, I'm sure.
They should be high up as well, shouldn't they?
Yeah. Well, they just legalized it in Virginia, so good on us. All right, man. I'll see you later.
See you later. And remember, get we're sponsored by Spotted Dick. Okay, so get some.
Sponsored by Hunts and the spottiest of dicks, or as it was originally called, Dick Spotted. And as they say in Canada, peace out.
Peace out. Bye, Hugh.
The energy we use could harness the solar power, the wind and the water matter. Hydro production of fruit and veg for consumption, increasing no fish zones to a third of the oceans. Sustainable living is giving back what we're taking, replacing the trees, let the seeds reawaken. It's time to give back what human hands have impacted. I believe we can make it. This is how we save the planet.